Portland, 90.7 FM. I'm Rita Rega. This is the World of Jazz. And I have a guest in the studio with me, a great vocalist, Shirley Nanette. Why don't you say hi, Shirley?
Hi.
All right.
How you doing, Rita?
How am I doing? It's been an interesting afternoon, okay?
I bet it's good, though.
It's been fun.
All right.
And so, for people who may not know Shirley, you grew up in Portland, but you weren't born here, were you?
Yes, I was.
Oh, you were born here? Okay. I don't know why I thought.
Native Oregonian, Portland.
Okay, yeah, native Oregonian. And you've had quite an illustrious career. I know I have seen you down at the Schnitz on stage with the Oregon Symphony a couple of times, and you've guested in symphonies across the country. She's a Pop's favorite, you know, the Pop series that they do. She's also been there in Washington, D.C., the National Symphony Orchestra as a soloist. And you won the first Star Search, and you've opened for people like Billy Eckstine, Lou Rawls, and
Diane Shore,
Eddie Harris, and you actually subbed for Tony Bennett, which is kind of, you know, that's saying a lot. And in 2013, the Jazz Society of Oregon named you to their Hall of Fame. And most recently, I've seen you on television, the OPB documentary about jazz in Portland, Jazztown. And so you were recently there talking about the history of jazz here in Portland, which brings me to some questions about what's happened. I mean, you started what year in jazz?
Oh, my goodness. Oh, you forgot the Oregon Music Hall of Fame.
Oh, that's okay.
Also.
That was on the other side of my page.
Ask me that question again.
Okay, how when you really got started in jazz, you can sing in all styles, but I'm sure at one point you decided, and was jazz first of the styles?
Actually, I wanted to sing opera.
Oh, really?
That was my first desire to sing opera. I used to listen to this radio show called Firestone Theater. And they had this lady, Risa Stevens, who was a wonderful soprano. And I wanted to sing opera. I wanted to sing Carmen.
Great. So how did you try to pursue that?
Well, I sang around the house. That was it. But then I began to listen. My mom had a lot of old 78s, which I still have quite a few of them that she had. And so I used to listen to all types of music. I mean, from blues to country and western, Sons of the Pioneers, to Peggy Lee and Ella Fitzgerald and Bing Crosby. Bing Crosby. Clarify that.
Yeah, Bing Crosby was a Northwesterner.
Yes, and also Count Basie and some Duke Ellington and some other people, you know, many other genres of music. And I became really aware of jazz music. I mean, listening to things like Peggy Lee and Ella Fitzgerald, I never thought I'd be singing at Tisket with the Oregon Symphony. I mean,
yeah,
that was different, you know. And but it happened, and then I became aware of, I think, closer in the early '60s, I became aware of Carmen McRae and Nancy Wilson and Sarah Vaughan. Well, I had heard Sarah Vaughan before because, you know, she did a little popish kind of stuff in the late 50s. You know, Smooth Operator and stuff like that, you know. They were making transitions into trying to sing other things.
So you heard all this at home on vinyl?
On radio and on vinyl.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, so what was Portland radio like back then? There was a lot of jazz, I understand.
Yes, there was. Ray Horn, who's gone.
He's my mentor.
You know, a lot of those guys, they played jazz music, and I became aware of that and had a chance to meet them and know them and all of that and got familiar with all the club situations that used to be around town. I mean, Portland was a plethora of jazz music. It was, I had no idea the scope of it, but it was played on the radio. There was a jazz station, I forget what the name of it was, but you know, they played music over the air, and so I did other types of music, but when it came down to it, in my early 20s, I'm going, you know, I've done country and western, I've done rock, I've done blues, I've done every type of music you can think of. Except opera.
Well, it's not too late. You know,
It's too late.
It's never too late.
So I start listening to things like Sergio Mendes and Ahmad Jamal and the vocalists. I mean, it was an interaction with different styles of music, you know, instrumental and vocals, and I'm going, I really like this, and I like them. My mother sang. So I got to hear old songs. I Don't Want to Set the World on Fire. Her voice was absolutely beautiful, you know, and
So what was your first bona fide jazz gig in Portland?
my first bona fide jazz gig was at the Benson Hotel.
Okay.
I was the first vocalist to sing in that hotel.
Wow.
With Jack Howell, who was a pianist who used to play downstairs in the dining room, and he decided to come upstairs. He had heard me, and so I had done some things with Woody Height and George Reinmiller, you know, but he came upstairs, and so it was he and I in the Piccadilly bar at the time, which is the little bar they have off the lobby now, which isn't the same, but nevertheless, and a bass player named Jack Murphy. And
So how old were you?
Oh golly, I was 20.
Okay.
21. You know.
And so there were people in the lobby listening?
Oh yes, I met all types of. It was always packed, and then you know I met William Shatner and David
some famous people
Michael
coming through
Constantine, and
town.
you know people who was on the Dick Van Dyke Show, and just incredible. Michael Constantine says, "I'm gonna hear about you," you know, and so it was really a lot of fun. They were just regular people, and they liked jazz music, and it was happening. You know, they used to have New Year's Eve things in the lobby of the Benson Hotel. Were you here when that happened?
Of course. I'm hoping they still have that great party.
No, they don't. They don't. But I was with the original thing that happened in there, and it was so exciting and so beautiful, and decorations and well-behaved people.
It was great.
It was great. And there's nothing like that now.
Okay, well let's take a little musical break.
Okay.
And we're going to go to a actual live performance with Shirley Nanette. And I think, who else is on here with you? Richard Arnold, is it? Or
Yes, Richard Arnold. Which
one did you guys?
was this my trio? Was this Mel and
Tony.
Ed and Tony? Okay.
Oh,
that's
okay.
right. Yeah.
So
it was at Jimmy Max.
At Jimmy Max, a live performance at Jimmy Max. And you are, if you're just joining us, this is KBOO Portland 90.7 FM. This is the World of Jazz. I'm Rita Rega, and we're talking to Shirley Nanette. So let's hear a little taste of Miss Nanette at Jimmy Max. Okay. Oh boy, what a night. And that was the great Shirley Nanette performing very live there at Jimmy Max with a great trio backup. Let's see, you had Tony Cassini there and Mel Brown, Ed Bennett, It Don't Mean a Thing, and that was around 2008. And we have Shirley Nanette in the studio with us right now. So Shirley, what do you think about when you see yourself and hear yourself, taking off like Betty Carter, whatever you're doing?
I get excited because it shows that there are more colors to my music when I sing. You know, there's different stuff that might come out of me at any given time when I'm singing. And that night, it was just one of these, okay, I'm going there. No, I'm going here. No, I'm going there. I'm going to do whatever I want to do. Because I know I have the people behind me who will be right there with whatever I do.
Yeah, you're out there on that tightrope wire, and you've got people supporting you, and they can go with you where you're going.
Yeah, it makes a big difference to have people who know how to play with the vocalist. It's different than playing with themselves instrumentally.
Sure.
You have to be able to be the support, to pay attention to whatever the singer does. I'm used to doing signals so they know what it is that I want. and they just kind of lay behind me and cradle me and not try to overpower me. And so, because they know that my instrument is different than theirs, so they let me be out front and do what I do and support me.
Yeah, that's, yeah, I guess not everyone can do that.
It's true.
Yeah. Excuse me.
And it doesn't make them a not a good player. It just means that they don't have that technique of knowing how to accompany a vocalist.
You have to be really listening to what you're doing and jumping in there when they see an opening, which with Shirley, I guess it may not be too often.
you know, I have to say this is kind of important. I was listening to a program last night, and it was a program that was interviewing Ahmad Jamal, and he made a really profound statement that I don't think a lot of people, musicians, you know, instrumentalists, think about that much when they play. He said to this lady who was interviewing him, he said, you know, it's important that not only that I play the music, but I know the lyrics.
Yes, yeah.
That means a lot to him.
Sure, because there's that story that's being conveyed, and I've heard that before from talking to other musicians. Yeah, you should be, as even a pianist, horn player, you should be thinking about the content of the lyric.
It's important.
Yeah, it's very important. And whenever I've seen you live, Shirley, you really know how to convey the message. Yeah, you know, you really reach out there to the audience, and it's
They're a part of my
right.
They're a part of my family. Then I want them to feel like if we have this intimacy going on, that they're a part of. That I need that, and I want them to feel that.
Yeah, it's like a heart-to-heart communication. You know, totally transparent. You know, that's really what the great singers do, the great performers do. And I have a couple of quotes here, which I got off of your website, but they're great quotes. One of them is from Mel Brown. He says, Shirley is one of the last of the great entertainers.
Wow. Wow, thank you, cuz.
Yeah, and Ron Steen says, Shirley Nanette is one of the finest jazz singers in America, and the best singer I've ever had the pleasure to work with.
Oh, that is so sweet.
Yeah, from
Thank
Ron.
you, Ronnie.
Yeah.
I love you.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it's now coming on about 25 after 3 o'clock, and this is International Women's Day here in KBOO. I'm Rita Rega, and this is the World of Jazz. We're talking to a real Portland treasure, a legend, and a historian. And I wanted to ask you about, since it is International Women's Day, I mean, what was it like, you know, coming up in the Portland jazz community? Like way back when, did you see some changes happen for women over the decades? What were there, you know, what was it like? How long before you actually had your own band under your own name?
Wow. Quite a while. Because for me, I think a vocalist needs to be selective in the personnel that she has to work with. We have to be on the same page. I want them to like what they do. I want them to like what I do. I want us to understand each other's position. And I feel that you need to have people who can work together well and not bicker and have these animosities and things toward each other. I want them to, when they're up there playing before I come up, I want them to play whatever it is that we're supposed to be playing music-wise. I want them to play whatever it is that they want to play, enjoy it, relish it, and have a great time. And when I come up there, I need them to do what I need them to do. And so we have a good bond like that. You know, it makes a difference. It took a long time because I worked with a lot of people who you're out front and this person is banging over here and this person is doing something over here and they're playing their own thing, and it's like I'm just there and I'm going that's not the way I roll. You know, that's not what I need them to do. I have a different instrument, and I need you to support me in the way that I need, because I have a different instrument.
Sure.
And that doesn't mean bashing and blowing and banging and all of that. And it doesn't mean that you can't have volume, but you need to put it in the right perspective.
Yeah.
So,
Okay.
yeah. Happy Women's Day, by the way.
Yeah.
To all you women out there.
Yeah. Great advice. Now let's hear another piece. We're taking this actually off of YouTube. And so, I don't know which one this is.
In Love in Vain.
In Love in Vain.
In Love in Vain. And what's the setting? Oh, this is back
Jimmy
at Jimmy Max.
Jimmy Max.
All right, another great live performance of one of the more dynamic live vocalists here in Portland. When you go to a Shirley Nanette show and see her in action, it's a lot of fun, and she's having fun, and you're having fun. So let's go to Shirley Nanette here in live performance at Jimmy Max here on KBOO Portland. Okay, let's get ready. We'll talk about. I want you to talk about the female instrumentalists.
I'll try.
It's got 30 seconds.
30 seconds. Okay, let's go. Wow. What a great rendition of that amazing ballad, In Love in Vain, performed by Shirley Nanette. 2013 at the Jazz Society of Oregon induction ceremony for the Hall of Fame for my guest here today for International Women's Day, Shirley Nanette. So Shirley, who wrote that tune?
No. I can't remember. It's like, it's just.
Yeah, okay. So before I let you go, I want to talk about the female instrumentalists here in Portland that you've worked with or you've known. I'm guessing back then there weren't a whole lot.
Mm-hmm.
I remember, I knew a wonderful pianist who was a house pianist at a club called the Prima Donna, Mary Field.
Mm-hmm.
And also, I just remember, isn't there Feather? Is it Lorraine Feather? No, who am I thinking of? But anyhow, who did you work with very many female pianists and other instrumentalists?
Not a lot of female players, because there really wasn't a whole bunch of, the ones that Anne Young. The one who played with who was a friend of Daryl Kaufman's, and she's gonna go crazy. Anne Young.
Okay.
She did some stuff out at Mount Angel and some classical stuff and jazz stuff and everything. Wonderful lady. There was one lady who was really just, goodness gracious. Her name was Terry Spencer.
Okay.
And this, back in the early 70s, because when I was working at the Benson Hotel with Jack Howell. And she was unbelievable. Oh my goodness.
So where is she working?
Just, all over
Just
the place. But then she got married, and her husband didn't want her to play anymore. And guess what? She stopped playing. That was just such a loss, because this woman was just fantastic. Oh my goodness. I never had the chance to work with her, but her playing was phenomenal. There were sprinkles of female artists. There weren't any horn players to speak of. Then there was the bass player.
Marianne
Mayfield.
Yeah, Mayfield.
Marianne Mayfield. She played at the Prima Donna too. She was a staple there.
Sure.
And then Nola Bogle was at the Sydney's, which ended up being the Candlelight Room.
Sure.
I snuck in there, because I wanted to see. She played cocktail drums and sang, and Sydney played the piano. It was like up on a little level in there. It was a very cool place.
Yeah.
And Lori and George Picasso, who had the Prima Donna, every now and then I talk to Lori. It's good to hear her voice, and wonderful lady.
There have been so many clubs that have opened and
Oh,
closed.
yes.
Of course, we just lost the great Jimmy Max.
Yes.
But looking back at the spectrum of clubs, what's the one you miss the most besides Jimmy Max?
I miss the Jimmy. I miss the Upstairs Lounge. I miss,
Where was that?
That was on, do you remember where Lapis City was on Union Avenue before it was in MLK?
Mm-mm.
Well, it's right between Knott Street and Russell Street. There's a building. If you're going north, it would be on the west side of the street. And if you're going south, it would be on the right side of the street. Just before you get to the light, there's a long, little stretch there. And, my partner of 40 years, he was one of the owners there.
Mm-hmm.
And they had people like Grover Washington.
Mm-hmm.
And, I went to see Grover there, and when it moved downstairs after he and another partner had gotten out of it, they had been there for so long. And all of these people who owned those three partners used to work at the Benson Hotel.
Oh, nice.
And so that was very cool. And so their club was so nice. It was just so nice, and they had a lot of jazz there. They had Billy Larkin and the Delegates with Hank Swarn, a lot of actors and actresses and comics, used to come there, as they did with the Cotton Club also. But they didn't have, strip dancers in the Cotton Club did have those and had, funk music or rhythm and blues and stuff like that and all of that. But they were like different clubs, but they were both exciting. These clubs around here that were there, they were very exciting to go to because you could go from this place to this place to this place.
Yeah,
to
so
this
there's
place.
a lot of club hopping. And what decade you're talking about is the
Between the 70s and I would say, it started winding down, I think, about the late 80s.
Mm-hmm.
Things started to shift.
Right.
And
I think my favorite club that I remember was Delavan's.
Oh yeah,
That's
I loved.
That was my favorite.
Yep, and then it changed to Ramos.
Mm-hmm.
Delavan's with Ronnie, and we used to play there. They had good food.
That was great.
The atmosphere was great. I met Eddie Harris there,
Mm-hmm.
and he let me know that he was from Chicago. We became really good friends, and we happened to. So as talking, we started to find out that he was going to be in Chicago the same time I was going to be at Grant Park with the symphony there.
Oh.
And he said, well, I'll show you around. So I was staying at the Blackstone Hotel, and he was playing there, and Oscar Brown Jr. was playing in another room, and I was with the symphony, and it was just incredible.
That sounds amazing.
Yeah, so it was some wonderful, but Portland had so many places to play on any side of town, southeast, northeast, southwest. There was music, there was activity,
Everywhere.
and jazz was always a big thing for Portland. We have always been really a jazz city. And then all of a sudden, I just don't understand where the breakdown came, but it's still here, it's not going away.
Yeah, it's not going away. And you're not going away. I mean,
God willing.
Yeah, you're here, and I'm so thrilled to have you on KBOO, and you have to come back sometime and just sit around and just reminisce about all this great stuff, So we're going to finish up with one more live performance of Shirley Nanette. This is at Wilf's, June 27, 2009, and you're doing Satin Doll with Bill Athens and Vince Freitas.
Yes,
Freitas. That's a great piano player,
Yes.
great bassist. So, Shirley, thanks for coming in today, celebrating International Women's Day. I really appreciate it.